One of my favourite ways to keep up with all things to do with investing is to listen to podcasts. And one of my favourite podcasts is called We Study Billionaires. If you're interested, you can download it off the App Store or the Android Store. And recently on We Study Billionaires, Tony Robbins was interviewed to talk about what he's learnt with creating wealth and money making. During the interview, Tony was asked what he's learnt from all the billionaires that he knows and he works with. And he said that even though their stories all differ, he said there's 4 common traits he's noticed that are the same with all billionaires. So the first trait is that they're all obsessed around this concept of not losing money. Now you would think billionaires all try to time the market or always want to be right, but Tony mentioned it's actually the opposite, that they're all aware they're going to be wrong at some point in time, and that helps to form their decision making. So Ray Dalio, who's worth about $18 billion, runs a company called Bridgewater Associates. He always makes sure that he asks what are the risks involved before he invests and wants to understand where he could be wrong or where he's lacking information. The second trait is they're all obsessed with the concept of trying to take on the least amount of risk to get the most amount of return. So Tony Robbins used the example of Richard Branson, that when Branson was starting Virgin, he spent more than 12 months negotiating with Boeing, that if within the first 3 years the business didn't work, Branson could return all the planes at no cost. So basically no downside but unlimited upside for himself. The third trait amongst all the billionaires is wanting to be tax effective or tax efficient with their decisions. Because the billionaires understand that it's not actually the money you make, but it's actually the money you keep after all taxes and fees. Now that goes against what a lot of small investors look at before they invest. So it's quite common for people to say that they pay too much tax or they want to get a tax deduction and therefore they need to invest. Billionaires come at it from the other way, that they know tax is an important consideration, but it's not the starting point as to why they want to invest in the first place. And the fourth trait is diversification amongst assets and within assets. So Tony Robbins mentioned that most billionaires create wealth with 1 or 2 industries and they focus in those industries, but they will still diversify with what they know. So if they're in property, they'll diversify across different areas of the property market, or if they've got international businesses, they'll invest across countries and markets. So you definitely don't have to be a billionaire to study the 4 common traits that Tony Robbins has noticed with all the people that he works with. So if you can make sure you don't lose money as much as possible, try to take the least amount of risk to get the most amount of return, be aware of the tax considerations with what it is that you're doing, and be aware of the importance of diversification. It can set you up to create wealth for the short term and also for the long term.